How did I get into
Yes.
writing? That's a good question. I didn't always know that I could be a writer. I didn't know that a writer was, yes, I loved books, but I didn't know that it was a path for me. I thought that I needed to do something practical, right?
And when you say practical, like what you mean?
Well, when I went to college in the US, originally I was a biology major, pre-med. And there was this sense that I needed to do something practical, go to medical school. Lots of sacrifices were being made for me to go to university. And I felt that I needed to aspire to something like that. Being a writer wasn't necessarily a career as such. It was something that...
It's like a hobby.
Right, a hobby, right? And so I didn't really give myself permission to own that. Right. But what I found is that I would be, say, in an organic chemistry class, writing little poems in the margin, that kind of thing. Eventually, I took some creative writing classes and received support and mentorship in that and owned it. And it was actually really hard for me to tell my family that I didn't want to go to medical school, I wanted to I liked books and writing. And so it was a major leap for me to do that. But I did. And I flourished. So that's how it all began for me, really, I would say. Or how it developed, I would say. It really began much earlier, in those environments of orality that I'm talking about. But as far as consciously saying that I wanted to be a writer, that's how it evolved.
All right. So how difficult was it when you had to tell your parents, listen, there's this thing that I prefer, and I have a love for it and I just can't stop doing it and thinking about it. I no longer want to, or am I interested in pursuing pre-med? What was that conversation like?
Money had been spent, sacrifices had been made. So this was a hard conversation to say that I wanted to change to an English major. But it was such a relief. And I think that after that, my family also saw that I thrived and that it had actually been a good and positive move for me. And things only began, I came into voice, is what I would say, through the writing. Growing up as a child, I had always been very quiet, the sort of child that didn't like to be in the spotlight, that was always looking at things from the wings, you might say. And writing allowed me to actually come center stage and have a voice and to claim something of my power. I figured out what my superpower was, you might say, by being a writer, And so that was a really significant and transformative thing for me. And from there on, I grew from strength to strength.